Welcome to the North American Hunting Odyssey, where members experience and share the Odyssey we call the hunt. This program has been created specifically for members of the North American Hunting Club.
Hi, I'm Bill Miller, editor of North American Hunter magazine, and your host for this edition of the North American Hunting Odyssey. We've got something extra special planned for you this time. In addition to the great hunting adventures we always share with you from across North America, we're going to have an insider's tour of the Federal Ammunition Plant in Anoka, Minnesota. First off, we'll join guide and outfitter Jim Peterson in Canada's Northwest Territories for a fantastic caribou hunt, my first with the muzzleloader. We'll follow David Hale on an early season whitetail hunt. Greg Gitcho has member mail and some advice for anyone considering a guided elk hunt. We'll pick up some off-the-road driving tips from Ironman Ivan Stewart and company. Then take a seat in the blind with Darrell Wise of Real Geese Decoys for some in-your-face goose hunting action. Then after you call the shots, we'll wind down our tour of Federal with an impromptu interview with Lonus Wigger, the renowned marksman. And finally, it's member shots. Great hunting adventures captured on videotape by NAHC members from across the continent. Wild boar in Oklahoma and Wisconsin whitetail. We're fortunate to have as our host for this tour of the Federal Plant, Ron Ives, a product service manager. Ron's been here 25 years, and in a roundabout way, 4 generations of his family have worked here at the plant. So he knows this place like the back of his hand. Ron, where are we going to start?
We'll actually start in our shot shell lead shot production area. Why don't you let me show you?
Okay.
In years past, lead shot was produced by dropping it from a very high tower, and due to its molecular structure and the density of lead itself, it would form a pellet or a sphere as it fell through the sky. But of course, that's pretty slow and inefficient compared to today's modern methods. Now, we actually melt lead in a melting pot. It flows across the screen where we have it flow into a water table. The water table has a wetting agent, so consequently it only has to drop 4 or 5 feet. Then as it goes up to a rounder, where it's still pretty malleable at that point, then it flows down a series of steps, where actually anything that's defective, like flat spots on the pellet or dumbbell type shot, which would affect and make poor patterns, is actually shaken off to the side, whereas the truly spherical pellets will flow to the end.
You're producing several shot sizes at one time?
That's correct. We very often will make 2 to 3 sizes at the same time, just dependent upon what our schedule is. And then, of course, as I mentioned previously, the stuff that's flat-spotted or dumbbelled is actually shaken off to the side, and then we sell this to one of our big competitors. This is a real interesting process, Bill, simply from the fact that it's actually quite simple, where we melt square ingots into round ingots. It goes through a cylinder press, pushes the lead ingot through an orifice, and then it produces different diameters of wire into which we produce various products, such as buckshot, rifled slugs, center fire bullet cores, or actual rimfire bullets.
So between here and the shot room is where shot shells, rifle ammunition get their start. And to start off this edition of the North American Hunting Odyssey, we're going to take you to the Northwest Territories to hunt Central Canada bear and ground caribou. Let's take a look at it. As our twin otter gathered speed to take off from Great Slave Lake, my mind raced forward in anticipation of this long-awaited caribou hunt. The smoke from smoldering forest fires obscured our view of the tundra for most of the 225-mile trip north out of Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories. But after crossing the tree line, the smoke gave way to beautiful blue skies over some of the most rugged and unforgiving land on the continent. But it's here, along the shores of the Coppermine River, where it widens to form Point Lake, that huge herds of these Central Canada bear and ground caribou gather on their way south for the winter, after making their annual pilgrimage north to the calving grounds on Bathurst Inlet on the Arctic Ocean. Jim Peterson's Point Lake Golf and Country Club, which was to serve as my home away from home for the next week, is an oasis for the adventurous hunters and fishermen from the south. After noticing some non-native bird life and sighting in my Knight MK85 muzzleloader on Jim's beachfront rifle range, it was time for the hunt to begin.
See that top bull there, Bill?
Yep.
That's a nice mature bull. He's got great spread, nice tops, but lousy on the front end.
Yeah. How wide would you say he is?
He'd be at least 50 inches anyway.
Those front tines on the top right almost look like they grew back together.
Yeah, it does. His shovel's probably only 10 inches or so.
It's amazing how fast those racks grow, too.
Yeah, they shed them every year. Both female and male caribou have antlers. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the left.
It's the way it seems on a lot of the animals we've been looking at, is that they grow one part real well and then the other part's kind of lacking.
Yeah, it's trying to find that perfect combination between top tines and bez and brow tine.
That's the challenge.
Well, those are nice bulls, but none of the ones we want.
We've still got plenty of time.
Yeah, still got lots of time yet.
Scouting for caribou is an adventure in itself here at historic Point Lake. First Light finds the hunters and their guides loading up boats and heading off in different directions as you scour the surrounding landscape for bulls worthy of your consideration. Once spotted, the stalking begins. The chase may go on for hour after hour, mile after mile, only to determine the caribou wasn't quite that big after all. And then there are the times you know that this is the one you want to take, only to remember that it's a muzzleloader you've got slung over your shoulder. And the shot that you'd easily make with your rifle is one you wouldn't even consider taking with your smoke pole. And in an instant, they're gone. But then, if you play your cards right and don't rush to harvest a lesser bull, you might just get a crack at a record-class caribou, just like the one Jim and I have spotted now.
I think this is the group that we seen earlier on this morning.
That was a pretty good size herd.
Yeah, there is.
We saw from the lake.
Yeah.
Think they'll come right up through here?
Yeah, there's a draw here. And they usually follow that one.
All depends on what mood they're in, doesn't it? How quick they move.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes they'll just feed along and then bed down and stay there for a couple hours and get back up and graze again, especially with this warm weather.
Oh, now they're popping up all over.
Yeah. One of the things that you have to be careful of is they spook really easy, especially when they have calves, and they can stampede the whole herd. Oh, no, a sec here. Oh, there's a bigger one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bull back.
I see him.
You got him?
Yeah.
You know, when you're hunting caribou, the biggest thing that you have to have is patience.
Yeah.
If you get too much of a rush or you try to stalk them through open country, they see you coming and off they go.
What's going to be the best way to get around to them?
I think, the way the wind is going right now, I think our best bet is to work to the right, go down the hill behind us, work around to the right.
Go back to the boat and then come around?
Yeah, go back to the boat and then come around and then come up the backside of them.
Okay.
And then the wind will be directly in our face. There's too much open country. We won't be able to get to them unless we go back to the boat and come around. I think you should put a load in right here.
Okay.
We'll probably stop from here over to the next clump of trees.
How many big ones are up there?
Looks like about 5 or 6. Bill, I think if we take our time, we can probably gain another 75 or 100 yards. What grain of bullet is that, Bill?
It's 310 grain, 45 caliber bullet in a sabot.
Mm-hmm. And how many grains of powder are you using that?
95 grains of Pyrodex Select.
Mm-hmm. You ready?
Yep.
I think what we'll do is work this way here to that next group. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
There he is.
There he is. He's the one on the right.
I'm gonna need a rest.
The one on the right. Just use the tree branch. He's the one on the right. Just a sec. Wait. He's in those high brushes. The other one stepped in front of him.
I can't see him all anyway yet.
We just wait till he comes out in that bit of a clearing to his left there. Wait, Bill. Wait a sec. He's right. He's coming out of the bushes now. He's coming out. He's yours. Take him whenever you can.
I got about 10 inches above the bride.
Okay, you got him. Yes, you got him. He's down.
Let's go get him.
He's down.
Oh, he's a good one.
Hey,
Look at
nice shot. Oh, hey, fantastic.
Oh yeah, he's done.
He's done.
Ah,
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
whew.
Pleasure.
They're even bigger close up.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gorgeous.
Yeah, fantastic caribou.
You gave
Really
me the
nice.
thumbs down enough times, but it was sure worth it in the end. I'll tell you, there's no place like Peterson's here in the Northwest Territories where you can get caribou like this.
That's great.
Just being here is a thrill in itself.
Yeah, it certainly is, and to experience a place like this is perhaps for some people once in a lifetime. It's more than just a hunt. It's an experience. It's an adventure. You can see some new country, see some wildlife, make new friends, and get an overall good experience that when you're bouncing your grandchildren on your knee and you can say, I remember the time I was up at Peterson's Point Lake, and say those memories will last with you forever.
As Federal celebrates its 75th anniversary in 1997, they're making a big name for themselves in producing super accurate .22 rimfire ammunition. In fact, the ammunition is so good, it's been accepted by the U.S. shooting team and the U.S. biathlon team as their official ammunition. It's made in that room right back there, but the technology that goes into it is so sophisticated and so secret, only a few people involved with the project have ever seen the process. But Ron, can you show us .22 ammunition that hunters would use to hunt squirrels and rabbits?
Absolutely. Let's go through this room right here. Now, here we have a drawing operation, which is the beginning of rimfire ammunition. You can see that it's made out of all brass roll stock, where we form our own blank, continue to draw it to length till it's at the full end, where we actually produce, pinch trim it off, where then it of course has to be washed to get the oil and the soap off, form the head, trim it, and it should be ready to load. You know, this is actually the loading operation of rimfire ammunition. Now, what happens after we saw the case was produced, we next have to put priming mixture inside the cartridge case, but for obvious safety reasons, we're not allowed back in that area. Once the cases come out with priming mixture, they're then dried, but then they would come over to a loading portion where we actually put in the propellant. And as you can see, the plate then comes down and has the propellant put into it. It comes over to like a detect system. The detect system tells it it has the right type or amount. If it doesn't, it kicks out the whole plate. Then through hydraulic pressure, the bullet is then seated into the brass cartridge case. The only thing that has to be done after that, of course, is you'd have to crimp it. Now that we've seen the actual cartridge is loaded, the very last step that takes place with rimfire ammunition is actually they have to be lubricated and then packed. The lubrication process takes place here. You can see it going on down the line. Then, of course, it goes into an auto packer where, depending on what type of packaging we sell it in at that time, it would be placed.
Well, just like Federal's making their name in super accurate 22 rimfire cartridges, we've got a couple of guys who've made their name in calling in big bucks, Harold Knight and David Hale. Right now, you're going to watch them do just that.
During the early season, the rut has not yet begun. Therefore, the odds of seeing big trophy deer are not so good. David has spent many hours scouting prior to the season. His efforts have all been focused around food sources, such as corn and soybean fields. After locating several bucks using a small cornfield, David conceals his Summit Striker stand amongst the limbs of a big cedar. This gives him a bird's eye view of the field edge. Plus, the westerly wind flow which prevails in this area will be perfect. These small bucks are plentiful and usually are the first to come to the field, along with does and yearlings. There's movement at the end of the field. Looks like 2 bucks. The back deer is a nice 8-point. And he'll work fine. That is, if he gets into range. The wind is good. Just a few more steps, and he'll be inside 30 yards.
Man, he can go about 200 yards. That was some hunt. I could hear that camera running back there. I hope it didn't pick up all the shaking I was doing. I thought I'd gotten over that after all these years. But the old adrenaline was going, I was shaking bad. Hope I didn't mess up your camera work, Chuck. Well, he's a nice deer.
Bill, now we're up in the center fire area, and it's pretty amazing on some of the manufacturing changes that have taken place over the years in here. Now just about everything is actually run by JIT lines, which functionally it means they do everything from drying the case cup, producing the long length case, trimming it, washing it, annealing it, putting the head and shoulder on the case itself, forming the primer pocket, all in one area. Once it's done there and it's been final washed, then we're actually ready to put it over on primer insert, where we actually put in the flash hole and insert the primer. Then it's ready to load and we're ready to go.
Well, Federal is turning out thousands of elk cartridges perfect for your next hunt. North American Hunting Club Senior Editor Greg Gitchell has got some advice on bow hunting for elk in answer to a member question. Greg, take it away.
Thanks, Bill. You know, as Bow Hunting Advisory Council Coordinator for North American Hunter magazine, it's my job to see that North American Hunting Club members get their bow hunting questions answered. When I receive a question, I usually forward it to guys like Chuck Adams, Judd Cooney, Jay Verzu, or any of the other North American Hunter experts. But when I received a letter from North American Hunting Club member Henry Passerini, I sat down and started writing a response myself. Henry's preparing for his first ever archery elk hunt in Montana. After my first bow hunt for bull elk in Wyoming last fall, I know all about the questions going through Henry's mind as he prepares for this exciting hunting adventure. First off, Henry wants to know about hunting double with a guide. 2 hunters per guide is typical on most outfitted hunts. All this means is one day, one hunter is up first, and the next day the order is reversed. However, if the first hunter wants to pass on a bull for whatever reason, hunter number 2 is up. So you always have to be ready. And hey, some days both hunters get chances at bulls. Henry's next question revolves around equipment. I personally recommend a bow drawing at least 60 pounds draw weight and a broadhead of at least 100 grains. Henry's current setup is a Bear 1-cam Super Strike bow set at 70 pounds with 100 grain Thunderhead broadheads. So far, Henry's only used this setup on deer, but don't worry, Henry, you've got plenty of energy with your current setup. If you're shooting well, I wouldn't change a thing, except maybe a switch to a slightly heavier broadhead. A 125 grain might be a better pick for a big, tough animal like an elk. One accessory you're really going to want to consider purchasing is a bow sling. Whether you're hiking or hunting from horseback, a bow sling is an excellent idea in elk country. I used Wayne Carlton's bow sling last fall and was impressed with the product. Henry's also wondering about cover scents and scent destroyers. An elk's sense of smell is probably every bit as good as a deer's. I use cover scents and scent destroyers because I figure they can't hurt. Still, I believe that if you don't pay attention to the wind, all the cover scents and scent destroyers in the world won't save you. Use these products in combination with good hunting scents and you're in business. Remember too that it doesn't pay for you to go to all the effort of destroying your human scent if your guide and your fellow hunter don't. Henry also wants some information about references he can use to learn more about elk hunting. North American Hunting Club members are lucky because from North American Hunter magazine to books to videos, a lot of hunting information is available directly from the club. Most issues of North American Hunter contain elk hunting articles. All About Elk is an excellent book that's part of the NAHC's book series. And if you're a fan of the club's Hunting Odyssey videotapes, you know they contain a lot of action-packed hunting information about elk and many other game species. Thanks for your letter, Henry. I hope these answers help, and good luck on your elk hunt.
You know, I make my living off-road racing, but that's not what it's about today. We're not going to be racing. A lot of people don't understand that we come out and enjoy the beautiful scenery like this in Moab, Utah. Just because you have a four-wheel drive, a lot of people think you have to come out and slide the corners and jump these trucks and what have you. I think the biggest thing is just to come out and enjoy them.
That's why we're so involved with the Tread Lightly program.
That's right. That's a great program Toyota's involved in. We're a big believer in. Enjoy the scenery. Have a good time.
Okay, this is Ivan. If everybody's in their trucks and got the seat belts on.
our first serious water crossing here.
It looks like we could get right across fairly easy. You want to make sure that you go in nice and steady, real slow, create what they call a nice bow wake so that you create an air pocket around the front end and the engine compartment. Make sure you get a good steady out, and as you come across, be aware of your wet brakes.
When we get to the other side, we're not going to have a lot of traction because the tires are going to be wet.
That's right. You'll spin on the rocks, and sometimes when you lose forward momentum, people tend to give it more gas, and that just spins the tires. You need to back off that throttle a little bit and let it creep right up there, and you'll make your way up. Best way to check the water depth is actually put a stick in the water and see how deep it goes into. Sometimes if it's really soft, silty stuff, you really got to feel the bottom. You may even have to walk into the hole and get a little wet just to do that.
I think you'll agree this is one of the options that you would definitely want all the ground clearance you can get.
Absolutely. In our convoy here, we don't want anybody to kind of climb right up there, and if you do spin a rock out, you don't want to go through the windshield, or if you do, spin a little bit, take the wrong approach, you may have to back and get another go at it. So we'll wait for you to crest the hill, and then you can give us a holler, say I'm up on top of the hill, and then I'll follow up, and then the rest of us will go in sequence like that. The engine rarely ever stalls. It's not like you're going to a stoplight. People have that feeling that they're going to stall the engine. They have to push the clutch in. If you do stall it, you can always, like the Tacoma has, that clutch bypass switch. So you just hit that switch and then you can key start it. And in low range, the engines warm up with the fuel injection system. Boom, it'll catch you right over. A lot of times, some four-wheelers will use the key and the starter just to creep over a rock instead of using the gear system. And lots of times, the trick is to use the transmission tunnel against the gas pedal as a reference point to hold your foot there, and you can kind of squeeze and finesse that throttle so when you're bouncing on the rocks, you don't have that bounce on the gas pedal, and that causes the tire spinning.
You see a jagged rock out there, you want that tire to go across the center part of the tire, not the sidewall.
That's right.
Because the sidewall will cut, and you could have a, don't want to change the flat on this hill, I guarantee you.
When you turn your steering wheel back and forth, it works the front tires in, and also it gives you a different track, because sometimes if you're tracking straight, you tend to just dig in, and if you work it back and forth a little bit, you tend to get a better traction from working the sides of the trail, as opposed to just digging straight into the center of the trail with the high center snow.
And I think the biggest thing is in snow is we want to show that it's important to be smooth. Smooth with the throttle, smooth with the steering, smooth with the brakes.
Ivan, what do you think is the worst thing that you can do when you come to a mud situation?
Well, if most anybody has been four-wheeling or off-roading very long has got in a situation where everybody has gotten stuck. Leave one person at least a long ways away in the dry so he got something to attach to. One of the techniques I think that we need to bring up is the fact that we see a lot of people in mud that they try and fight to get out of that rut, but actually the rut can help you because that's the hard part of the track where they get that tire down to where that tire's digging in that dry soil.
Sometimes people get into the mud hole and that forward momentum is lost, and unlike being on the street when you give it gas, you don't go, you stick.
Yeah.
And so usually if you feel that momentum slowing down, sometimes it's best to just grab reverse and back right out of it instead of trying to spin your tires.
Oh, we made it, Bill. That was a steep little hill, wasn't it?
Exciting.
That was great.
Yeah.
Where's the trail?
Well, we're on it.
We're going to get some steep hills today.
Oh, you bet.
All right.
Yeah, the passenger better hang on for this one.
I'm ready.
Some of the things we got to do to make sure we're obviously in low range.
Low range, make sure the hubs are locked in. Low range, four-wheel drive. And we'll probably use a lot of first and second gear today in low range. And we always want to remember to go straight up and down the hill. When you come up to a hill, you have to be aware of the approach angle. What the angle is between the bottom of the bumper and the tire. And because you don't want to drag that front end on there. And a lot of times you may want to go out there and maybe nudge the obstacle and see, and then get out and then take a look and say, okay, I can do that. The tires will come right up on there before the bumper drags. You do have to worry about, as you're going up the hill, not to get off camber or get sideways on the hill. Sometimes people figure that they can't go any further and they want to turn around right at that point. And then, woo, there they go, they roll over.
Sure.
So you got to be real careful with that.
Well, here's the perfect example of what can happen when you're four-wheeling. This old tree is falling across the road. Now, Bill, we can wrestle this thing out of the road, or we can...
Yeah.
It looks pretty heavy, though. What do you think?
I think so. I think what we'll do is we'll have to winch it out, clear the trail for everybody else. It looks like we can hook the pull pal over in that dirt patch over there, We'll use a pulley block, run the cable down through the pulley block back to the tree and just basically pull it off to the side of the trail. It'll be fairly that simple.
Bill, we can take it right about in this area.
Yeah, that looks good to me. Why don't you wrap that around there and I'll go rig up the pulley block on the pull pail.
Okay, and I'll get the cable real quick.
There we go. We'll hook this pulley block. I'm glad this pulley is rated twice the weight of any of the winches that we're going to be using today. Okay, just take it up a little bit. What I'll do is I'm going to drape this blanket over this cable, just in case the cable does break or one of the connection points lets loose. It'll absorb the kinetic energy of the cable. All set, Ivan? All right, go ahead. That's good. Dynamite. Plenty of room for everybody to get through. And replace our divot. This thing was friendly on the environment.
Well, I tell you what, this looks like home to me. I can't wait to get out and play in the sand.
Another thing about this area, this off-highway vehicle recreation area, we call them OHV areas, where as long as we stay on the sand and not the growth on the outside, that we can kind of play around.
And actually, Bill, I think it's a great place to come out in the sand for a newcomer to four wheelers to come out. You can actually climb hills, and if you can't make the hill, it's very safe to come off a sand dune opposed to coming off a rocky hill.
This is a safe environment to play in and practice.
Well, one of the best things to bring in playing in the sand, and they're easy to carry, is a piece of carpet. You have two pieces of carpet, about 5 or 6 feet long, to get you right out of the sand.
I've been on a lot of these factory tours, and one section of any ammunition plant that boggles my mind is the shot shell loading area. It's just incredible. The plastic and the brass go together way down on that end of the line, and on this end you have hundreds and thousands of finished shot shells ready to shoot, just pouring off the end of the line into hoppers. It's incredible. As a competitive trap, skeet, and sporting clays shooter, I've spent a lot of long winter nights in my basement working on the old progressive press, reloading shells and turning out what I thought was respectable production. And actually they go through the same steps here, putting in the primer, the powder, the wad, the shot, and doing the crimping, but it's all done incredibly fast and just one after another. Almost 300 shells a minute. One hunting trip where you're going to need a lot of shells is when you go after geese with Darrell Wise, as he puts them in your face.
The North American Hunting Club presents You. Call the shot.
You're hunting antelope with a bow. Your decoys have done their job and one nice buck is moving into range. But as he wanders just to the left of your position, you can no longer conceal yourself behind the decoy, and your trophy spots you. You call the shot.
The animal's well within range, but since he's looking right at me, I'm afraid he'll spook and run to the hill, so I'm going to wait till he either drops his head or moves back out in front.
The antelope obviously sees me. I've got to wait until he determines that I'm not a threat and turns his head or looks down. There's so many things that can happen at this range with an arrow. I'm going to wait and hope for a better shot.
This is a good setup for me. I would go ahead and take the shot. I shoot left-handed, so the antelope has actually moved over into a better position. Traveled all the way out here. He's come up to the decoys. Couldn't ask for anything any better.
It's now or never, but unless you're a quick draw specialist, more likely never. Next time, consider taking cover in a nearby bush or blind. That way, the decoy will distract the buck's attention away from you, and you'll have a better chance at getting your bow drawn before he spots you. You're hunting white-tailed deer with a muzzleloader. This nice buck has just emerged from the woods. He stops well within range, but he's not giving you any breaks by standing behind a tree. You call the shot.
Even with a scope on the muzzleloader, I'm going to wait to take this shot because his vitals are covered by the tree. And I want to make a clean shot on this deer, so I'm going to wait until he moves out from behind the tree.
The deer's right behind the tree. It's covering his vitals. I have to wait until I can see his vitals before I take the shot. I'm going to wait.
This looks like a good shot if he'll move on up, but since he's behind the brush, I'm going to go ahead and wait on him. The muzzleloader is not going to be too good at going through the brush, and I wouldn't recommend shooting at any deer that you can't clearly see the vitals on.
This is obviously not a shot you'd want to take. Your best bet is to keep ready and try to predict the buck's path once he starts moving again. As he clears the bushes, you squeeze the trigger. You're hunting hogs with a rifle. There have been two slowly working their way down the trail toward your blind. Every few steps they pause and test the air. They're on high alert, but moving closer. With each passing moment, shooting becomes more and more tempting. They pause once again, and you can barely stand the tension any longer. You call the shot.
With the hogs quartering towards me at 100 yards, I would feel confident with the rifle that I had and in the shot where it was that I would go ahead and take it.
The hogs look like they're at about 100 yards. They're obviously on high alert. Even though they're moving closer to me, I'm going to take the shot with my 270. I've got it zeroed in at about 150.
Hey, I'm a big-time hog hunter. I would go ahead and take the shot. Looks like bacon's on the way, so get the frying pan hot. Couldn't ask for a better shot.
If you've hunted hogs before, you know how quickly a situation like this can change. One more whiff of air, and the hogs pick up your scent, and they try to hightail it out of the area. Well, as luck would have it, and I mean it is luck, this was not planned at all. The day we decided to tour the federal plant to make this North American Hunting Odyssey video, Lonus Wigger was here testing ammunition. To anyone that knows anything about competitive rifle shooting, this man needs no introduction. Plus, he's a member of the North American Hunting Club. Lonus, what are you doing here today?
Well, actually, I'm doing some promotion work for Federal in the field. I'm trying to promote their new match-grade ammunition. Federal went to a lot of work and a lot of expense several years ago to build this ammunition, and I feel very strongly, having competed internationally for so many years and being beaten many times by the Soviet Union, which I thought was better ammunition than we could get. And when Federal took on this project, I really felt like I had an obligation to really try to help them, and that's what I'm doing. I'm here testing, I'm shooting the ammunition in the field. Of course, I'm trying to win with it, but I'm just trying to promote it because I think it's a great project.
From everything we've heard, it is really the best of the best.
Well, I've been shooting about 3 years with this ammunition, and ever since they came out with it and tested it, and I have found that it is every bit as good or better than the European ammunition.
It's the official ammunition of the U.S. shooting team now, is that correct?
That's right. Federal is a big sponsor of the U.S. shooting team, and of course, you know, we're trying to get the shooters to use this ammunition in competition, And we were very fortunate that a couple of U.S. shooters won medals in the last Olympic Games with it, and we're of course hoping the same thing will happen this
We've
year.
had Lonnie on these tapes before, as a matter of fact. Testing is sort of the end of where Federal does their work and the beginning of everything else, isn't it? I mean, from this point on, it's got to be tried in all the individual guns. And
that's right. And every time they run a batch, every day they make a little change. You have a new lot number, and different lot numbers shoot in different guns, so you have to test different lot numbers in your particular gun and find out which one works the best. I have found that most all of it is good, but you're trying to find that one lot that's just a little bit better to give you a little bit of an advantage when you get on the firing line.
We appreciate you talking to us and taking the time. I don't want to break your concentration here, so we'll let you get back at it.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
You bet. Well, Ron, I sure do appreciate you hosting us on this tour today.
Well, I really appreciate your coming, and it's been our pleasure.
And I know all the folks in the North American Hunting Club appreciate all the effort that Federal puts into producing quality ammunition, too.
Well, thank you very much.
We'll be
Come
back.
again.
Well, the tour may be over, but this edition of the North American Hunting Odyssey is a long way from over. We've still got one of my favorite parts of each and every tape to come. That's member shots. Exciting hunting adventures sent in by NAHC members just like you. First up, we join NAHC member Gary Jones and company on an Oklahoma wild boar hunt.
So we head up on the mountain then. Let's go. There's the man in the hour right there. We'll go up, see if we can't see what kind of hogs we got. These hogs have literally tore this place to pieces. I mean, look at this. I mean, it looks like they've had a caterpillar in here or something just digging it up.
Gary's nephew Jerry Weatherman is running the camera and providing the commentary. Last year, Jerry shot a 400-plus pound hog here at Dutchess Creek Hunt Club near Porham, Oklahoma. Gary hopes to do just as well if he can just get close enough for a shot with his trusty Winchester 30-30.
Well, we spotted us a hog right here. And believe it or not, we've been sitting here for about 5 or 10 minutes just talking. We've been sitting here talking, looking around. Happened to look over here, right beside us. The guide did. The guide turned around and looked, said, "Looky here." Right there he is. You just can't hardly see him. He's laying there in a big old pile of leaves. He's all mudded up. He don't even know we're here. Yeah, we're gonna try and get this hog stirred up. The guide's over there throwing sticks and rocks and everything at him, and he don't seem to want to get up. He come out of there, didn't he, boys? Huh?
Moving on.
Yeah, he was moving on. Good shot. Good shot. Holy cow, we got hogs going everywhere. Congratulations, Gary.
Heck of a hunt.
Huh?
Heck of a hunt.
Wasn't it? We done the footwork today though, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Huh?
My feet sore.
Your feet sore? That's okay, we're gonna celebrate.
Gary's boar weighed in at just over 225 pounds, and you couldn't ask for a better shot than this. Thanks for the tape, Gary. This next member shots tape is sort of a two-parter. 2 years ago, NAHC member Randy Statz followed his brother Jesse into the Wisconsin woods on one of their regular whitetail deer hunts. Jesse passed on all of these smaller bucks and ended up taking a big doe. Little did he know that a year later, almost to the day, he would find himself back in the exact same spot, in what would turn out to be a very different situation. These two sparred for a good 15 minutes or so before this 8-pointer came out of the woods. The buck would finally drop just at the edge of the woods across the field. As darkness fell, Randy and Jesse were joined by their father Mike, who helped them track the deer down and pack it out.
Down, make sure he's dead. God, that deer's well over.
Oh my, yeah. It sure make no difference. Nice buck. Congratulations, Jeff. What's he all about?
Congratulations, Jeff.
Yeah, man.
Congratulations, Jeff.
Thank God I didn't stay home tonight, huh?
Look at that buck. Well, he's a nice buck. I think he's about 2.5 years old.
That's what the trophy management's all
And with
about.
that, we come to the end of another North American Hunting Odyssey. If you've got a hunting adventure on videotape, we want to see it. Send it on in to club headquarters at the address which you'll see at the end of the credits. It can be turkey hunting down south, big game hunting way up north, whatever it is, you might see it on the next Hunting Odyssey video. For the North American Hunting Club, I'm Bill Miller. Take care and good hunting.